Good morning. So, we begin this class with an introduction to semiotics. So, key concept of course remains semiotics, iconography, symbol, image and index. Let me write these things for you on the board. Semiotics, image, index, icon and iconography, iconicity, symbol. So, I begin with a quotation by Frank Capra, the great Hollywood film director, and where he says that film is one of three universal languages, the other two being mathematics and music. That means films is something that are accessible to all, okay. The same way as music and mathematics, that is the idea. But for that also we need to have some kind of an understanding of semiotics in order to read a film better. This is an essay that I would like to recommend to you very strongly, called it is a lengthy, it is not exactly an essay, it is a book called What is Cinema, volume 1 and volume 2 by Andre Besant. What is Cinema, volume 1, volume 2 by Andre Besant. We have been talking about Andre Besant for quite some time, Cahiers du Cinéma and Andre Besant, and critics like him would keep appearing in this course. So, what is cinema? Andre Besant of course has written 2 volumes on that, but according to you, what is cinema?
Showcase the life and times of a particular period, person or a group of individuals.
Okay, life and times of it. So, that is biopic and a historical.
Or a brief time period about.
Okay, any other?
Conveying a concept or a message.
Conveying a concept or a message
through visual aid.
Through visual aid. Anything else?
Just a story perhaps.
Cinema is telling a story through a system of science. Okay, through a system of science, images, index, visual representation, visually telling a narrative. So, that is cinema. Okay. So, you can expect a lot of things from a film, okay, but film at the core is a set of science. Film is often called the most collaborative of art forms. Tell me what is, you all know what is a collaborative effort, but why do we call film a collaborative art form? It is not like painting or writing a poem or a novel.
There are so many different elements which come together. You have moving images, sound, so many different things come together. So
okay, let us imagine a movie set. Vijayalakshmi, let us imagine a movie set. How many people do you think you will find on a, you just wander on a movie film set and then who will you find?
The scale of the movie, you could find the crew and the casting, and it varies.
And crew consists of the cast, that means the actors. Okay, she means by cast people who are acting in the film. Of course, without actors there cannot be a film. Now, what is a crew? Who are the members of a crew?
background technicians.
What happens to the director? Okay, yeah. So, you need a director and you need a cinematographer, and you need a sound recordist, you need a makeup man, a prop person, several people. So, it is not a one man show. And once the movie is over, do you think it is over till it is released? Editing, post production, editing is a very important aspect, dubbing, and also distribution, marketing, as we have all seen in a case of a very recent film, that how theatre owners can stop or interfere with the process of a film someone who has been working on a movie for several years is handicapped by certain external factors beyond his control. So, so film therefore is not a one man show, but a collaborative art form. That is what we mean. Okay. A director or a filmmaker or a producer can never have complete control over a product. So, therefore, film is different from other art forms. Film has a distinctive language. Now, we use a term called the grammar of cinema. I am interested in this word. When I heard it for the first time, I was like taken aback. What is it? Grammar of cinema? I mean, for us grammar is only in our languages, right? Okay, sentence. So, sentence has certain components and we say this is English grammar or whatever grammar. What is grammar of cinema?
We need grammar to give structure to language.
Hmm?
Likewise, cinema is a visual language. To create one scene, it needs a structure and it needs certain rules against which it matches and certain forms to stick to.
Very good. So, we need certain clues and certain structures in order to understand. So, in order to read a poem or a novel, you need to have some basic understanding of the rules of the language, that is grammar. In order to understand a film, we also need to have some understanding of the grammar rules of film. And now what could those rules be? And therefore, our semiotics come into the picture. Give me some example.
How we prepare the set for a particular scene. A set will be different for different scenes, right? As in, so that would be one element of the grammar, because we need to convey the message to the reader that to the viewer that it's taking place in a certain time or age.
How many of you have seen a movie called My Left Foot? Only you? Only one person. I would like you to watch My Left Foot. It's an Irish movie starring Daniel Day-Lewis, and he won the Oscar for that in 1990. The movie is all about a man suffering from an ailment called cerebral palsy, which it's a kind of a disease where a person loses control over his limbs. Okay, so he doesn't have any control over the rest of his body except his left foot, which is the only functional part of his body. Okay. And the movie starts with a huge close up of his left foot, and then how that foot manipulates a record, those old fashioned music systems before cassette players and before music CDs, we used to have records, and how the left foot manages to make a music system get going with the because the person doesn't have any control over any other part of his body. So, he uses his foot to listen to music. When you are watching a movie like this that starts with a man's foot playing a record, setting a record, what do you think? What if you know the grammar of cinema, if you have watched a certain number of films in your life, would it tell you that this is a story of a man whose only functional body part is his foot? Would you understand that or not? That understanding comes from our repertoire of film grammar. Okay, we understand certain things no one ever told us, but that has come to us because we know how to watch movies. That is what is meant by understanding film grammar. Film is composed of certain set of signs that we are going to look at very soon, and Christian Metz, a film scholar, says film, and this is the problem that most of us often face, especially if you are a film academician. Everybody seems to have a take on films, okay, without going through all these courses or reading academic books on films. Film is hard to explain because it is so easy to understand. Okay. Therefore, everyone feels that they have an opinion on film, and it is quite true. Everybody seems to have an opinion on films. But then it is the understanding of the filmic science that makes all the difference. So, semiotics is also called semiology and is a study of science, and filmmakers choose particular images, precise images to tell a story, and I am going to show you a set of images and then you will tell me the story. Peter Wallen, a film scholar, a very prominent film scholar, and he has written a book called Science and Meanings in Cinema, and he talks of science as a triptych. That is something we have been talking about. Science consists of index, icons, symbols. Can you show your index finger to me? Yes, do not be so shy, that is your index finger. Okay, and what are you doing when you use your index finger? What do you do? What is the purpose? Point. Okay, so you are pointing towards something. And when on a movie screen you often find an image like a clock. For example, in the Chinese movie by Wong Kar-wai, In the Mood for Love, several shots of clocks. As film goers, as cine enthusiasts, does it tell you something? Why is this filmmaker so interested in clocks? Why is he showing us close-ups of clocks, all kinds of clocks, wrist watches, alarm clocks, wall clocks? Why? Well, what does the clock tell you? Time. Okay. So, time may be so important. Okay. Passage of time would be so important. That is the core central theme of In the Mood for Love. There is a time in someone's life when they are in the mood for love. So, it is a beautiful, beautiful love story that I recommend all of you watch if you have not done so already. Okay. So, film is the art of visual abbreviation. Okay. It tells you, I mean, therefore, when we talk about adaptation novel, so people also often say that it is not as good as the novel. Gone with the Wind, okay, great movie, but if you read the novel, it does not come anywhere close. The movie does not come anywhere close to the novel, because film abbreviates so many things. So, that is perhaps the strength or even a weakness of filmmaking. It is an art of visual abbreviation. One shot says something which several pages say in a novel. Filmmakers show smiles to denote something, unless it is a different kind of a film. In a very normal regular film, a smile is a smile. Okay, a person is happy. Unless you are talking about Mona Lisa's smile, then there could be context or subtext read into that. Scars, okay, scars denote something. Aristotle talks about the concept of recognition and agnoresis. So, scars say a lot, people recognize each other. Oedipus is recognized by what? By a scar on his foot, yeah, the swelling on his foot. Yeah. So, guns, badges, hairstyle, they all are signs which tell you about something. Okay. So, I will show you a scene or a shot, and then you will understand what hairstyle suggests. I go back to Roland Barthes again in Mythologies. Mythology is a very sacred book for semioticians, where he says trivial aspects of everyday life can be filled with meaning, including a character's hairstyle. So, hairstyle is a very trivial aspect of life, but that is also filled with meaning while watching a film. So, here is a shot from a very popular movie from the 70s, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, Grease. It is a musical, it is a teen musical, a romantic comedy, a dance movie. It is a very popular, highly successful film. How many of you have watched it? watch Grease. Look at the look at this shot for a while and tell me what's happening. I mean, I know what's happening, but look at the man's hairstyle, clothes. Look at the girl's hairstyle and clothes and makeup and so on, and the spaces and the distance between them. I give you 1 minute. The boy is all about.
It seems about dominance of John Travolta or the lead that he takes in the relationship.
Okay, so he looks as if he's making all the moves, okay, and not the girl. Okay, and why does it appear to us so?
Actually, a subculture. Greaser is a subculture of 70s American youth. It's
Okay.
actually specifically saying the leather jacket and the greased hair to the backwards.
Okay,
It's actually the hairstyle itself is taken from Elvis Presley's hairstyle.
slick and gelled hairstyle. Okay, so that's very important. So we are told that this boy perhaps is an acolyte of the entire rock and roll subculture as popularized by Elvis. What kind of clothes is he wearing? If there is a jacket, what kind of jacket?
Leather jacket.
Appears to be leather jacket. And who popularized leather jacket in American pop culture? James Dean, good. James Dean, who is known for Rebel Without a Cause. Okay, so the rebellion hero, the rebellious hero. And before that, we had Marlon Brando in The Wild One. So James Dean, Marlon Brando, the great heroes, the great actors from the method school of acting, and also known for their the image of disaffected youth, rebellious youth. So that's what perhaps he is trying to be. Maybe he is not all that rebellious, but he wants to be a part of a group in his college which claims to be rebellious. You know, we all go through our phases and we all want to be part of certain groups. So call it peer pressure or whatever. Okay, so he wants to be like that. He wants to create that image. So that kind of hair and that kind of clothes reinforce or at least help him get integrated into that kind of group which demands this kind of image. So group loyalty. So he is conforming to a particular group of friends who would like to be known as the rebels. The girl.
She's channeling an image that's almost directly in contrast to him.
Exactly.
She's wearing like a high collar and her hair's all neatly tied up in a ribbon.
Less makeup, not a red lipstick, okay, and very high necked, collared, schoolgirlish. Yeah. So what is the image being conveyed here? Innocent, prim and proper, and very respectable. Okay. So a total opposite of the boy. So Grease plays around with these signs, how we use certain tropes, certain characteristics, external characteristics of external appearances, which can be seen as an attempt to reinforce a particular image. So the good girl and the bad boy coming together. So this is the short arrangement in Grease, where Danny and Sandy, okay, are sitting in a car, his car, and where he attempts to make advances towards her, and his clothes and his hairstyle, as we have been talking about, they recall Elvis Presley and Marlon Brando, who belong to a distinct subculture group. Sandy, on the other hand, her hair, her clothes, her body language conform to other kinds of notions, conformity and respectability. So, this is Danny's group and this is what he wants to be. So, the rest, yeah, but by the end of the movie, when they realize and they discover their true feelings for each other, they attempt to get a makeover of images. Then Sandy starts dressing the way a hot, so called hot chick would, and Danny starts wearing more conservative clothes. So, that is the way the movie ends. So, it is all about iconography of clothes and hairstyle. Now, coming to this another element called icon. Icon is a sign which represents the object mainly by similarity. So, icon is a is a sign, and it tries to capture the reality of the object. We will look at it, I will explain that. So, iconic images are familiar images. Actors try to form an image unless you are an extremely versatile actor who actually tries to, or very consciously tries to break away from any kind of image. Otherwise, most actors are popular or successful because of a carefully constructed image that becomes your iconicity. A narrative is frozen in an iconic image, and let me give you an example. Okay, this is an iconic hairstyle. Do you know this guy? Javier Bardem from No Country for Old Men. So, I do not think there are many people who can pull off this kind of hairstyle, but this becomes an iconic hairstyle, and this is an iconic image. What does it tell you? You haven't, let us assume you haven't watched the movie, but this image tells you certain things. What does it tell you?
He's running while Anton is perpetually behind him at all times.
So, Javier Bardem's image is overpowering, domineering the entire landscape, and the so called protagonist, the good guy, is on the run, but he is so diminished by the aura of this person who is such an all pervasive kind of a personality, a very dominant image. So, that is why almost godlike or Satan like, whatever way you want to understand him. So, a wonderful movie based on a great novel by Cormac McCarthy, and this is an iconic image. Stars play with their images and create a sort of iconicity. So, this is Audrey Hepburn from Breakfast at Tiffany's, and what image is she trying to convey?
The rich, proper socialite.
Socialite, stylish. Who was the fashion designer, Vijay, for Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's, sorry. So, this is something that you should know about. Stars and images are not an individual construction, but a host of people combine or collaborate towards constructing an image, a sort of iconicity for a star. So, your hairdresser, your makeup man, the cameraman who shoots you from the best possible flattering angle, and also your dress designer. Herbert Givenchy is the name of the fashion designer who created the Audrey Hepburn look, iconic look for Breakfast at Tiffany's. And of course, all of you are familiar with Marilyn Monroe's a famous iconic image from 7 Years Itch. Okay, so now sign has two parts. We are talking about image, iconicity, indexes and signs. Sign has two parts, signifier and signified. Signifier is the ordinary physical part, sign as object as we call it. The tangible things which we see, a pen is a pen is a pen, okay, but does it signify something? Okay, so that becomes signifier. So, when it is just a pen, it is a signifier. When we can read deeper meaning into something, it becomes signified. The signified is the psychological part. You may look at a pen from various perspectives, and it all depends on your world view of objects. There are deeper meanings to it. Color can also be read as a signifier, and red signifies many things here. What? Passion, zest for life. Okay, a man whose professional, personal life is has reached cul-de-sac. Okay, and then in this girl he finds something, some excitement, some romance, some hope. So red is several things in American Beauty. So synecdoche is another aspect of sign system, relationship between part to a whole. So when we say the Oval Office, we know who we are talking about. When we say the crown, we know what we are talking about. The badge, on the other hand, signifies the law, okay, so a representative of the law. So a heroine, for example, may be well known for her smile. Okay, she smiles and everyone knows what it means. Okay, so sometimes actresses are just told, don't worry about the scene, just smile, because that's what people come to watch. Okay. Humphrey Bogart would always carry cigarette, film noir hero. So he has to be, surrounded in smoke. Clint Eastwood, the Western hero, and his cigar. They all signify something. So part conveying a whole. So he knows what we are looking at. Clint Eastwood with his trademark cigar is a tough guy. It's a tough guy, not to be messed around with. Zodiac is a movie which plays around with sign as a system. Okay, the entire premise of the movie is centered on how to read and decode certain kind of signs. This is a shot from which movie? Okay, and again, what does it signify to you? Waiting for the bus. Okay, a shot taken from behind. So any meaning that you can read into it? A man waiting for something, someone to come, a bus to come. He is hopeful, but he is also extremely lonely. Okay, he has no one. So this was the original poster of Forrest Gump. A lonely man sitting on a bench in the middle of nowhere. We don't know, just having one meager belonging with him. Original poster for Easy Riders is a landmark movie for what subculture? The counterculture movie. Okay, so it set the stage for several other counterculture movies. Counterculture is another thing that we will be looking into during this course. So what do you understand by this still? Who are they?
Wide open spaces and two people on bikes.
Okay.
The manner in which they're seated suggests the
Free thinkers. Okay, so you are looking at a pair of people who are absolutely on their own. Okay, but they are seem to be very much at ease on their bikes, and there is a deep bond between these men and their machines. So that's why Easy Riders. Another concept that you should know, denotation and connotation. Again, it's like signifier and signified. Denotation, the primary direct meaning, whatever we see. Connotation is the subtext or the secondary indirect meaning. Again, depends on your collective cultural attitudes and personal associations with an object. Now, this is a scene, this is a still. I know that you know which movie it's from, but connotation and denotation, what is it? What is this connoting? A woman in a shower. Okay, but if you know something about this kind of movie, a slasher movie, then you know what's going to happen. It denotes something. A scared woman, perhaps she has seen someone who is a very threatening presence. So that's denotation. That comes when you are familiar with the grammar of film. So I'm going back to something with which I started the lecture today, the grammar of cinema. So, that comes with your ability to associate certain images with certain feelings, okay, and that comes through your cultural understanding, a collective cultural association with certain things.
But for this particular image, you have to also take the background music into account because that has become so iconic.
Yeah, but when we just look at a poster, this is a poster and there we do have no music, okay, but the poster says it all. And then Hitchcock's famous line that accompanied this poster, and what was it? Watch the movie from the beginning, okay, don't come late. And Hitchcock personally saw to it that ushers in theatres don't allow people to enter the theatre even 1 minute after the movie had started. I mean, so normally that is a practice, people can walk in a movie, they are just a movie, okay, how does it matter whether we watch it from the beginning or 5 minutes into the movie. But then it was a hype, it was a kind of a hype generated by Hitchcock, that this movie is full of suspense, and to understand this movie it is very important that you watch it from the beginning. Okay, another important name we have already seen, Mythologies and Roland Barthes, and this is another interesting article by him, S upon Z, where he talks about 5 systems of meaning. These systems are called codes, and these codes of cinema are like language, grammar to a language. It is important to understand certain codes to understand a film, to construct certain meaning. So, these are the 5 codes Roland Barthes gives us: the enigma code, the connotative code, the action code, the symbolic and the cultural code. The enigma code is when a film sets certain kind of puzzles, it does not explain you everything. What is going to be? What is the movie going to be all about? That is the idea of the enigmatic. So, the word enigmatic itself is enough to tell you that the maker is not going to give you the plot away from the beginning. Okay. Well, who did it and what happened? So, mostly in suspense films, this is a code which is often employed, and I would like to draw your attention to this still from Hitchcock's Vertigo. James Stewart and he is surrounded by 2 women, both very pretty, but very distinct from each other. And what gives you that distinction? Now read the signs here. One is Hitchcock's fascination for the blonde woman, yeah. So, one is blonde, another is dark, okay. What else?
Proximity to the actor.
Clothes. One is wearing certain maybe let us say light or pastel color, other one is wearing darker shade. So, dark hair woman wearing dark shade. Makeup, the mole of course to enhance someone's appeal. Now, the makeup,
One is wearing, the dark one is wearing certain level of
so yeah, so the dark haired woman is also wearing more conspicuous makeup, whereas the light haired girl is wearing light colored clothes and less prominent makeup. The binaries are set. So, who is the good girl and the bad girl? Hitchcock is telling you from the outset, but both roles played by the same female actor, Kim Novak. So, they are not 2 different actresses, they are the same. Okay, so, Hitchcock plays around with these binaries, and watch Vertigo. So, very interesting. So, that is the enigmatic code. Connotative codes are signs that imbue characters and settings with certain meanings, including speech, clothing, movement, gestures. creating illusions of real people having real experiences in a real world to connote something, okay, real people. So, we will be talking about realism, and I will also introduce you to Andre Bezon's the ontology of photographic image, where he talks about cinema and realism. Okay. So, all filmmakers attempt to be realistic, but are films real? Another still from Vertigo. What is happening here? The blonde woman wearing a light colored suit staring at a picture. What sort of a picture is that? From some other period, from some another era. Okay. What could be the setting here? Is it her house, a personal house, or looks like a museum? Looks like a museum. And what are we supposed to look at? The woman or the picture? Or perhaps Hitchcock wants us to look at the woman who is looking at the picture, okay, and why he wants us to wonder that why is she looking at this particular picture so intently. Okay. So, that is the mystery of Vertigo. If you have watched the movie, you will understand that why is this particular art gallery so important, why is this woman's fascination, what is she having? She is having a bouquet on one side and a clutch on another, and it's again like our Forrest Gump, she is sitting very alone on a bench, but they are very different kind of people. Okay. So, again conveying the meaning of conveying the sense of loneliness, obsession with something. She is not certainly not waiting for anyone, she is looking at the picture, fascinated, obsessed by this picture. That is the impression she tries to convey, especially to the hero, who is a detective and who has been ordered by the husband to follow his wife. He says, I do not trust my beautiful wife. Whenever she goes out, I wonder who she goes, I mean who she meets and where she goes. So, I want his job, that hero's job, who is also a detective played by James Stewart, his job is to follow this woman throughout the day. And he discovers that most of the time she sits on this bench and looks at this picture. So, he tries to unravel the mystery of this particular fascination for this picture. How many of you have watched Vertigo? Okay. Do watch, because someone wanted me to discuss Hitchcock in this class. So, we will try to do that, but I would like you to watch Psycho, Vertigo, Notorious, any other movie that comes? Rare Window is very important. Grace Kelly, to Catch a Thief, again Grace Kelly and Cary Grant. So, Grace Kelly happened to be Hitchcock's favorite blonde. So, they collaborated on 3 movies, and Kim Novak was another favorite blonde of his, Vertigo. Again, dress, gestures, which movie? All of us are familiar with this film. And tell me, what are the gestures, the body language, the coming together as a group, their clothes, what do all these things combine to tell you?
They're working together.
Working together, they are a group, okay, they are all buddies. What else? What kind of people are they? Not necessarily gangsters at this point, we are not very sure, but from the outward appearance, what do they look like? Sloppy people? Well dressed, definitely not sloppy. Not sloppy, they may be slouching, but they are definitely not sloppy. They are very careful about their appearance. A great deal of attention has been paid to what they look like. Okay. And we know, and quite alike. So, there is a kind of uniformity about most of them, except the only guy who is an outside, and then we later realize why is he different. The action code, signs belonging to a pattern of action, and I will give you an example. You look at a set of signs and symbols and you know what the action is going to be all about. Is it a love story? Far from it. What is it? What could it be all about when you look at bruised body of Bruce Lee? A martial art movie. Okay. No one has to tell you something else. I mean, if they say that Bruce Lee plays a gangster or a romantic hero or a historical or Lincoln perhaps, you wouldn't believe him, right? We know what he is doing here. And what's happening here? Is it an action film? Far from it. It's a drama, it's a romantic film. So, action code. How the principles are acting, performing, it tells you everything. The symbolic code, organizing all experiences into a pattern and binaries. So, good versus bad, hero versus villain. So, there are certain symbols given to people like the good girl and the bad girl, the blonde and the dark haired girl, right. The Western as a genre played on these symbols. So, the good girl is always the white girl with fair hair, and the femme fatale would always have dark hair and wear dark lipstick and dark shades of clothes. Okay. A very good example of the symbolic code. And look at the way this poster was constructed. Do you find something strange here? The eyes. The faces are so conjoined that the eyes become one. Okay, cultural code, a very interesting one. It includes the text, that is the film's references to things which we already know, and filmmakers assume that the audience are working on a set of shared assumptions and shared beliefs. We do not have to sit and tell them that when you see a particular set of people, they are always the good people, and when you see people with beards and ropes, then they are always terrorists belonging to a particular set. Okay? So, shared assumptions. So, cultural behavior, morality and politics should be, there should be some kind of shared assumptions about these things. So, the cultural code operates on the idea that culture not only constitutes or makes the self, but also restricts or constrains the self. We are restricted as well as informed by our cultural codes. So, when you look at this set, okay, one is an out and out love story, whereas the other scene or other movie is a love story with some problems. Okay? And we know what those problems are because we have certain cultural assumptions about what regular love should be all about. So, therefore, we have no problem when Jack and Rose fall in love in Titanic, but because culturally we know that films play on these things, play the rich girl meeting the poor boy or vice versa, and love happens. Okay, so but that is acceptable. But what happens in a country where there are strong reservations about homosexuality, and there you cannot have a movie like Brokeback Mountain releasing. So, the movie was banned from releasing in several countries because the cultural codes. Now, this is very interesting. Michael Douglas's Falling Down. How many of you are familiar with the movie? Okay, Falling Down, Michael Douglas. Tell me, what does he look like? Now, apply all your codes to him. 9 to 5 worker, what kind, why, what makes you say so? Regular white shirt, regular tie and a briefcase. But then here is a problem. He is not so regular. Why? He has got something threatening in his other hand. briefcase in one and gun in another. So, if you are very familiar with filmic grammar, the cultural code, uh, if you share a set of beliefs and assumptions from movie going public, you understand that here is a hero, an every man, an average man, who on a given day decides that he cannot take it anymore. So, that is the idea of falling down. Okay, so it's a regular day for him when it starts, but by the end of the day he turns into something else. So, therefore, it is a very potent way of giving that kind of impression to the audience. Okay, so, all these factors raising questions about how this particular man, an average regular everyman kind of a hero, finds himself in these surroundings, a desolate area, graffiti on the walls. What is he doing here? His clothes, his hair, his glasses, they give an impression that he is a very regular person. But then he is standing in a place which is surrounded by demolition sites, skyscrapers in the background. Okay. So, the film raises several questions about codes of conduct. What happens when a very regular person has a breakdown with the system, with the establishment of society. This is another movie I would recommend that you watch it, and watch it alongside Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver. These movies should be watched back to back. Taxi Driver and Falling Down. And I was saying, watch 7 as your homework, and then we will be discussing the semiotics of 7 when we meet next. Okay. So, thank you so much and see you soon.